Back live at Mount Panorama, we switch from American muscle to some of the finest sports cars you will ever see. Fanatec GT World Challenge Australia, powered by AWS. Greg Rust alongside James Baldwin, who'll be patrolling pit lane for us in this one. We have some breaking news in relation to the Arise Racing Ferraris, which we'll get to in a moment. This could be Audi and Melbourne Performance Centre's time to shine.
Rusty, great to be here. Thank you. And you're absolutely right, because GT3 has been fantastic all year. And Brendan Leach, who is in the garage just next to us, bringing the International to Bathurst International alongside Tim Miles, also from New Zealand as well. And this car is incredibly quick. He's never driven here before, but he did win the Super Trofeo Championship in Europe last year as a single entry, so he definitely knows how to drive.
It's a great combination, as you rightly point out. They were strong at Phillip Island earlier this year as well. Another great circuit. Let's go to Chris Stubbs now with this breaking news.
Thank you. Well, both of the Ferraris were very quick for Arise Racing today. We had our two qualifying sessions earlier on, one for the AMs and one for the pros. They topped the time sheets in both of them. So that does mean Liam Talbot will be starting from pole position for this one with the AMs leading us away. But Chaz Mostert was found to be a little bit too quick, so exceeding the maximum boost allowed in his qualifying session means he'll start from the rear of the grid. Now he's standing by, so I'm just going to jump in here. He's actually chatting away to Will Brown at the moment. He'll start from last tomorrow, but I think we've seen this movie before. Chaz Mostert in the big race starting from the rear of the grid and still winning circa 2014 with Paul Morris. Chaz, an unfortunate incident, but you know both cars are quick, especially in straight line.
Yeah, we've seen it before. You know, every team pushes the absolute limits, and the same with the drivers. So probably my little bad with my driving technique, which has put the car in probably a little bit of a wrong operating window. So apologies to the whole team. But look, we've got a fast car. We've got fast drivers in both cars, and hopefully we can fight our way back tomorrow. But we're in a good starting position for this one. Liam did an awesome job as well. The whole team here at Arise GT's done a really awesome job this week, and the car's an absolute pleasure to drive.
Mate, it would be a big tick, or tip of the hat, wouldn't it, to this team as a debut team to take the title. That's the opportunity if you can stay in front of your mate Will Brown and Brad Schumacher, who'll start from third. That's what's to play for. Will, you were just having a chat. What was the banter?
You guys obviously speak all about that, but we just focus on each race at a time. But you credited the team, obviously a start-up team, and then to play in the GT3 world and GT World Australia, you need to be ultra professional. And these guys, what they've been able to do in 12 months is something really special, and what they've done representing Ferrari is something really cool. So hopefully the whole team's proud to this point. We obviously got to try and do a job to do on the weekend, but it's a competition's been a real step up this year. So many fantastic drivers. The AMs are driving unbelievable, and hopefully over the coming years SRO just keeps growing in GT3 and GT4. It's been a pleasure to be involved with.
And we've loved seeing you as part of it. Good luck for the rest of the weekend.
Thanks very much, and a quick shout out to Ree, Everly, Daisy, Delilah, Sandy, and back up in Bowen and Eddie. Hi everyone.
And to Rusty.
And whoever else needs a shout out, thanks for tuning in on 7+. And 7.
How good is he?
Back to you in the studio.
Chaz Mostert on fire. A great spectacle, a great part of the story here. We have some unbelievable marks in this class and some championship permutations to consider as well as we take you to your commentators. Cameron van der Dungen, and alongside a man who knows this class incredibly well. Good afternoon to Richard Crail.
Rusty, thank you. For a bloke looking to win a championship, awfully relaxed is Chaz Mostert, and his co-driver Liam Talbot will start the number one Ferrari from pole position for Arise Racing and Lance East Exotics, this startup team that's been so spectacular this season. There's a championship to win, and the maths, Cameron van der Dungen, actually quite simple. If they finish in front of car 87, the Shaw and Partners Audi, it's all over today. If it swaps the other way around, the championship will go down to Sunday. The job today, finish in front of the 87 Audi, and it's all over. But thanks to Trico, we'll take a look at exactly what a GT3 car are. These things are incredible. It's a global category. Driver aids, they've got traction control and ABS that are adjustable. Rear drive, engine can be in the front, the middle, or the rear if you're a Porsche. 500 to 600 horsepower, and there are balance of performance to equalise all the cars.
And here's some of the key talking points across this weekend. Well, can Liam Talbot go back-to-back? He looked very relaxed when we saw him early on today as well. Audi have been quite dominant as cars, but it's the Ferraris that are looking good this year. Chaz Mostert, well, we've just heard from him. He'll be very keen to add to his titles. Will Brown, can he claim the championship in his first Supercars title this year? Mike Sheargold and Garth Walton lead the AM class by 1 race win, and they will be hoping to get the job done as well. So plenty to talk about, Crailsy, but I actually wanted to come back to that conversation we were just saying before about how simple it sounded. It's never simple in GT racing.
No, it's not, and there's so many variations to take into it. There's a 5-minute pit stop window for them to change drivers, maybe throw some tyres at the carb. Not sure if they're going to do that in the mandatory pit stop window. This is how they start. The grid based on the times set by the AM driver in qualifying 2, which means Liam Talbot starts from pole. Paul Stokel, huge job in qualifying to go to the outside of the front row in the OnlyFans Audi. Brad Schumacher, fastest ever lap, he set at Mount Panorama to go third. So too for Sergio Perez. So too for Elliott Shute and Mark Rosser and Tim Miles. You see a theme here? Qualifying was unbelievably fast this morning. Stephen Grove came up to me earlier and said, I did a 6. That was incredible. He was hanging on, but he loved it too. And the Grove car will be quite effective. Watch for the 66 car out of 11th. Paul Lucchini will start that. Jaden Ojeda will jump in the second half of the race, and it will go very quickly. And then the AM class leading number 45, Ram Motorsport GWR AMG, starts at a 12 with Mike Sheargold behind the wheel. Garth Walden will bring that car home in the second half of this race, and they've got a championship. They could wrap that up today as well. They're exactly one race in front of the brothers Kondouris from Canberra, Cam. So they could wrap that title up today, and tomorrow, if both are sorted today, what happens tomorrow? Gloves are off. All the permutations out the window, racing for the final race win of the year.
Think about some of the racing we've seen. The gloves have been off pretty much every weekend we've been out racing. I think back to Phillip Island where the Ferraris made a mistake and there was that incredible battle with the Audis. Go to Queensland Raceway when it was in the dusk and it was just everything going everywhere. Leanne Tan, I'm giving wrong names and everything out there. I was immediately going Paul Stokel and the job he's done with Renee Gracie. With that incident down at Turn 1 throughout. It's just been an incredible year of GT racing.
We'll bring Greg Rust into the conversation in a second, but word from Motorsport Australia Race Control, they're going to delay the start. We understand there's a timing issue at the circuit at the moment, which in GT land at the moment it's a fairly touchy subject after a fairly controversial endurance race at Sydney Motorsport Park at the last round of the Shannon's Speed Series. So they're actually flying the red flag and they're going to suspend the start of the race. And that's key. This is a timed race. There's 1 hour on the clock. It's not to laps. So how they manage this is going to be very interesting to see what sort of a race they get in, if indeed it is a delayed start.
Greg Rust has come running up from the pit lane to join us in the commentary box. Rusty, timing issues, I don't think we want that to creep into time-certain races with mandatory pit stops and all sorts of other things, so better to get it back under control. Definitely. So we can go racing clean.
Good afternoon, boys. Yeah, really excited about this. I had a word to the 2017 Bathurst winner, Lukey Yilden, before. He's working the radio in a driver coaching sense for the Kondourises, does a ripper job of that, and just to echo your comments before in relation to the lap times we've seen, what the numbers we've been able to get down to in qualifying and so on. He said Sergio Perez with that 2:04. He said, holy heck, where did that come from?
Yeah,
you know? So
it was
some good numbers.
It was super quick, and in the pro session, Chaz Mostert, whose time, as you heard from Chris Stubbs, was excluded, but he did a 2 minute. There's no other number in front of that. 2 minute, 120 seconds. 0.9, which was the second quickest ever
when you see that
by a GT3 car.
You just think to yourself, how long until we start seeing several sub-2?
Well, I mean, it's doable. Chris Meese did a 59 in an unrestricted GT3 car, but that was a long time ago now. The evolution of these cars and how much quicker they're getting, 59s for pole at some point in the near future, it's doable.
Just a couple of weeks ago here on the screens of 7, of course, we were here for the Repco Bathurst 1000, and the kind of speeds that the cars do across the top of the mountain, they're pretty impressive. But at the Great, for example, to give you a little comparo, what are we talking? 4th gear, roughly 200 k's an hour in a supercar. In an Audi, it's 5th at about 220, 225. It's unbelievable.
Amazing what a bit of aero over the top. That's what a lot of the supercars drivers, when they first started really, and look, talking about the 12-hour, because we would have to get to that. You can't talk GTs Bathurst without talking 12-hour, but so many of them came out of supercars and went, it's like driving, it's like a video game over the top when you get into one of these GT3s.
So a little reset happening here, as you can appreciate. We want to get it right for the competitors. So some good names in this So we're hearing about 5 minutes for the restart to take effect. A couple of other stories through this field, guys, that we might spend a moment and consider. What about the German-based GT squad, Car Collection Motorsport, competing here this weekend, Rich? And they've got their eyes on an entry at some point for the Maguire's Bathurst 12 Hour, don't they?
Yeah, they've been quite open about the fact that this is a bit of an exploratory mission. We don't think it'll be for 25, but maybe 26. Car Collection, they're off to do the Asian Le Mans series over summer as well in GT3 cars, which will be really cool. So,
teams, 3-minute signal, 3-minute signal.
That was the voice of Motorsport Australia race director James Taylor, race director to the Stars, just telling teams that they're going to refire in 3 minutes and get this race going. We'll jump back down to the lane. Stubbsy?
Well, we've got a moment here. We thought we might just jump in and grab a couple of our drivers. I'll jump into the conversation, Jaden and Brennan, and see how you guys are going. Mate, you're one of the busiest guys in motorsport. Are you on another plane on Sunday? What are you up to? What are you doing?
Oh, yeah, so Sunday night, heading away to Spain for the Lamborghini World Finals over there. So, going to be a massive week as well coming up. But, yeah, focused on, obviously, the race that should be starting any time now.
How much have you enjoyed your year of GT3 here?
Yeah, it's been amazing. I've met so many amazing people. Obviously, Juice as well, been pretty cool. So, I've really enjoyed it and super excited for whatever the future might hold. I'd love to race here in Australia again and doing everything I can to make that happen. So let's see what happens.
There you go. So there's a shout out to everyone at home. Let's get some deals done and get Brendan racing here more often next year. Juice, for you, a winner last start, Sydney Motorsport Park. How's the car and how's the team coming together this weekend?
Yeah, good. I just came over to talk to Brendan about the last time Motorsport Australia had a timing issue.
Hey, don't mention the war. Don't mention the war.
Controversy around that. So, our car's pretty good. Sort of got the most we could out of it in qualifying, and we'll see how we sort of pan out in the race here. But, yeah.
Good luck, mate.
Thank you.
I'll skip around the back as well. I can see the back. I think it looks like Will Brown there. Yes, it is. Will, for you, mate, how are you going? It's a big day for you and for Brad, the local. He's in 3. He's right in behind for the start there. He just has to finish in front of Liam today to keep in the title fight. So what's the direction for the start?
Punt the Ferrari into turn 1 and we'll be fine from there. But no, it'll be a clean fight. Liam's been really fast and so has Chaz in all the practices and qualifying. So it's going to be a bit of a tough one. Obviously, with what's happened for them, unfortunately for them, it'll help us out tomorrow. But it's going to be a big feat to try and win the championship. But, it's still been a great year and I've had a lot of fun driving these things.
And the repair of the car, the turnaround from Sydney Motorsport Park, it's still fine this weekend so far?
Yeah, no, they did a perfect job. Here comes Chaz Moss. I don't know what he's going to do to me. I know it'll be for me. But they've done a perfect job and it's looking really good. So, we'll be right when we go out there.
Well, lucky he didn't hear what you just said about punting the Ferrari. I think, hey, we're focused on this weekend and the job that you're going to do with Brad, but obviously everyone at home wants to know how you're feeling about the final in Adelaide for supercars as you head in as the title leader.
Yeah, I'm enjoying racing on these weekends because I don't even think about next weekend, so it's just a bit of a getaway, drive a car, but next weekend's obviously a massive weekend for me. Hopefully we can wrap up the championship, but you never know. You can't, get ahead of yourself in this game, but really excited to get down there and battle it out with Brock Feeney and see what happens.
Mate, all the best.
Cheers, thank you.
All right, back to you guys.
Yeah, thanks, Stubbsy. Good value, those guys. Jaden Ojeda, not mentioning the war. Brendan Leach racing every single weekend. In fact, the Juice, Jaden Ojeda, young bloke from Penrith in Sydney, is off to Okayama, I believe, in Japan to go and race World Challenge Asia in a couple of weeks as well. He's been back and forth there overseas with Craft Bamboo Racing. And, yeah, it's cool to see drivers from this part of the world getting an opportunity to drive these cars internationally.
I think he was literally on the plane on Sunday night after the Bathurst 1000 up to Asia, then back again to join us at Sydney Motorsport Park, wasn't he? So, busy times, great stuff.
Super Tycoon Series, I think it is. Correction, World Challenge Asia is done and dusted. So the car's rolling around again. So just to repeat, the race was basically suspended under a red flag, and you might go, hang on a minute, they didn't start racing. Why was there a red flag? Well, they had started racing. The clock starts from the moment they roll off the grid and the clock starts counting down. This is how the races will roll out. Compulsory pit stop windows. 25 minutes into the race, the AM drivers can peel into pit lane. 30 minutes in, the Pro-Am cars can then make their mandatory pit stop. Pit stop window actually 85 seconds this weekend, plus some penalty time, as you can see there, for other drivers. So if you had a win recently, you get 15 seconds extra. If you're second, it's 10. If you're third, it's 5. And that, Cameron and Greg, is part of the reason why so far this year we have not had one team win both races in a weekend. And out of all the possible podium finishes, so there's 6 podium finishes in a weekend, times by 4 rounds so far, only 5 times has a car been on the podium in both race 1 and race 2. So what does that mean? Well, it's wide open. Anybody could be on the podium in these races.
As I said earlier, it's not that simple.
No, it's
the
not.
maths are always simple, but the races never unfold that way. 45 minutes remaining. It's going to be interesting the way this race does unfold. The story for me, outside of what we've already covered, has been Paul Stokell showing the quality of driver he is. And he has grown and grown in this car, this team, to the point where you look at it and go, imagine if you put him in as alongside some of these other drivers that are out there. Put him in a Rise car alongside a...
Lights are out on the safety car.
Lights out on the safety car, so we're about to get this race underway. But Paul Stokell he's a driver the calibre we know, Krause and Rusty, but it's just been great to see him shine in this category this year.
Yeah, he's been awesome. It's the second time he's qualified second this year. So he's put that car on the front row twice. He's been driving superbly for a supposedly retired bloke. He goes all right, doesn't he? So the lights are out and the safety car will pull away and this race will properly commence at speed, but we're already more than 12 minutes in. So we're not that far away from a pit stop window opening for these cars to come into pit lane and to plug those pros in for the second half of the race to the flag. So the green flag will fly at Mount Panorama, and Liam Talbot, the reigning Fanatec GT World Challenge Australia champion, looking to become the first driver in series history to go back-to-back in different model cars. Audi last year, Ferrari this. And he fires out of Murray's corner and leads Paul Stokell back to the green flag, with Brad Schumacher in third, literally heading in the direction of his house, with Sergio Perez next and Elliott Shute in the second Ferrari for a Rise Racing, being followed by South Australia's Mark Rosser, Tim Miles next from New Zealand, then Peter Hackett, Stephen Grove and Theo Konduras. And we're away, finally.
What a sight as they go up the mountain. So many beautiful marks. Great job too by the Melbourne Performance Centre team on the repair, the rebuild of that car that Brad Schumacher owns and shares with Will Brown, who you heard from there in the pit lane before. They effectively had to cut that car, currently running in third place at the firewall, and repair from there forward after the incident in our endurance round last time out at Sydney Motorsport Park. So big repair job, and it's been done beautifully, let me tell you.
They thought for a while they might have to get the spare car. So Brad's own Audi R8, this is a Melbourne Performance Centre car. Brad owns one, but it's not quite in the current spec, but it's currently parked over at Ridges Mount Panorama in reception. So when you go to check in, there's a raw carbon fibre Audi R8 LMS GT3 car there. So they had a backup option, but it's not in the right spec and not at the same level as the car that he and Will Brown are driving this weekend. So the best course of option was to fix the one that was crashed at Sydney.
Can we park your car, Mr. Crail? Where would you like us to park it?
It's just next to your helipad.
I wish. Right, so Talbot extending the lead here as they run down Conrod Straight. It's been such a great addition. The Arise Racing crew, the stunning latest gen Ferraris. Another one in the field, of course, in the hands of Elliott Shute, a car that he shares with Jackson Evans, who races, of course, for BJR and Supercars, Brad Jones Racing.
Oh, Mark Rosser with a big slide. The car got into the traction control and it almost fired it across into the wall opposite that Ridges Mount Panorama we were talking about, the ACM Finance Team BRM car. That was a hairy moment. Mark was one of a bunch of drivers that did a personal best lap time in qualifying. First time he's ever been in the 204s at Mount Panorama. Really impressive job by a guy that's had a really impressive season alongside Alex Peroni, but that was almost a massive accident.
A highlight of which would have been Queensland Raceway for those two drivers. As we go back to this battle, that's over 5th place at the moment. Elliott Shute, Tim Miles right behind him.
Tim's originally from the South Island in New Zealand, but based in Sydney nowadays and has been for many, many years.
I was in his office the other day. He's got an incredible view there. An exceptional businessman. And don't ask me why, Richard Craill, as we look behind. Mark Rosser, I saw you looking at me then. So Mark Rosser, he's under threat from Peter Hackett.
Thanks, Tim. Here's my...
He's a great contender. He'll be doing some running in New Zealand, I'm told, over the summer as well. They've been really proud. Team South Island this year, the Dale ITM Audi R8, and Brendan Leach, who's from Invercargill. Very proud to be down in that part of the world. And they've put on a really good show. A couple of race wins. Mathematically still in championship calculations. Would need to win today and have dramas for everyone else. And I'm not saying that's out of the equation, because they'll put Brendan Leach in that car at the pit stop and it will go extremely quickly.
Just looking at the timing charts, Paul Stokel putting in some purple sectors now. And with only 0.8 of a second separating himself from Liam Talbot, and that's a battle further up the road from what we saw. He's starting to get interesting up the front of this field, and he continues on those purple sectors over the top. We're following the battle for fifth, though. So that is Elliott Shute and Tim Miles.
Stokel has got that car switched on, hasn't it, after the, I suppose, official start of the race when they got up to racing speed, and the margin exactly 1 second. And Stokel 0.3 quicker than Liam Talbot. So, James, the OnlyFans Audi, going extremely well this early in the race.
Thanks, Crazy. I thought I'd pop down to see Renee Gracie, and this car is going exceptionally well, Renee, putting purples in over the top with Paul. He had a really good qualifying session through Sydney, and obviously that's transferred to here. In terms of where your mindset's at to get in the car, how are you feeling about today?
Good. I'm getting better. I feel like I'm glad that I'm getting better and feeling better. Last race of the year, I've got a lot of confidence with Paul by my side, and I think the slow progression over the year is showing now, which I'm really grateful for, and I'm really happy to show improvement.
Certainly seems like you've improved, especially from that last time out. Bathurst is not somewhere where you're unfamiliar with. You love it here, I'm guessing. What are you hoping in terms of expectations for this race?
Well, I was back here in 2016, so it's been a while. I can't remember what I did yesterday, let alone back in 2016. So it's been a while between drinks here at Bathurst, but I'm doing much better than I expected, and I'm very grateful to have the opportunity to be back, and I'm just enjoying every second. And at this stage, it's having fun and finishing.
Thanks, Renee. Go well.
Thank you.
So just jumping in off the back of that chat, it's been really interesting to watch the chemistry between these two in particular. Paul Stokel's so supportive of Renee Gracie. He's almost been a driver mentor and building her confidence in the car. And I think it helps when she looks up and knows that he's got her back. But also the job he continues to do here, fighting for a race lead, just will add to her confidence when she gets in the car as well.
And you're right. All he needs to do as well is keep the pressure on Liam Talbot, because they're going to get 10 seconds for free at the pit stops, and the number one car has a 10-second pit stop penalty time, so it'll be stationary for 10 seconds longer than the 181 Audi. There was also a little bit of controversy between these two drivers in qualifying, and it actually rumbled on upstairs in race control with the stewards. There was some allegations of impeding from one to the other, and then one said I was impeded, the other one said he crashed into the back of me. He said, she said, ultimately that was just all no problem, play on. But
Paul Stokel's done that as well. Remember, was it Peter Hackett, I think, a couple of races out as well? There was a bit of an altercation between the two of them. One thing I do love about Paul Stokel, he's a true racer. You don't win Gold Star without having a little bit of, what's the word for it, aggression about you?
Correct.
When you talked about was it 10 seconds for free there in the pit stop, I thought you were going to break into Knowlesy and do the 7 Plus promo. Paul Stokel, 2:06.98, new fastest lap of this race. Great work, but we've got some dust being kicked up there in the background. What's happened with, was that the 11 that's had a moment there?
That's the Tigani Motorsport Mercedes AMG GT3, so Paul Lucchetti scored an 11th position at the moment. Did he just run wide at the exit of Hell Corner? Easy to do. As this battle for the lead continues on, so we're not far away from the pit stop window going. They've got less than 10 minutes before we'll see these two cars in pit lane. And what the job of these drivers right now is to do is to give your pro as much track position as you possibly can to minimise the amount of work that they can do. Now, because of the delayed start, we're just seeking clarification at the moment from SRO and from Motorsport Australia as to whether the pit stop windows change. But my understanding at the moment is that the timings will remain the same. So 25 minutes into the race, the pit lane will open for the AM class cars. So Sergio Perez in 4th, Theo Honduras in 10th, Mike Sheargold in 12th. And then 30 minutes into the race, these cars will be able to pit and they'll be able to plug Chaz Mostert in, Renee Gracie in, Will Brown in, etc., etc.
And it's great you mentioned the AM class cars as the teams just take a bit of a break there, enjoying themselves. That's how you prepare for the pit stop window that's to come. But Sergio Perez, how good, up in the top 4 for him, one of our AM class drivers. You mentioned him before, top 3 for them, 4th outright for Sergio Perez, 1st in AM class. Theo Honduras, 2nd in class, 10th outright at the moment on track. And Mike Sheargold, watch for that car to come storming through a little later on. 3rd in class and 12th outright.
Best of our trophy class runners down in 18th at the moment. I think that's done in the 38. So we'll keep you across the different classes as they happen. When Richard said before SRO too, should just clarify, that's the organisation run by Stefan Rattel. Around the world, this kind of racing exists in all different kinds of places, and it's run to a formula that means if someone like Sergio Perez wanted to go overseas, having had a great weekend at Mount Panorama, he can effectively jump in a similar kind of car, similar kind of championship around the world. That is the great thing about this class of racing and what they've been able to do and build here down under.
So just confirmation that the pit window will open as planned, as there's a half look from Miles at Griffins up the inside of Elliot Shute, young West Aussie who's jumped out of radical competition into the second Arise racing car with Jackson Evans. They've had a race win, in fact, last time out in the Sprint Cup, indeed, at Phillip Island. They won race 2 there. That was their first win of the season, 4 podium finishes this year and their 3rd in the championship. They are a mathematical chance to win it as well, but I think more interest in beating the Audis and generating a Ferrari 1-2 in the championship will be the goal, I think, for car number 8. They have got a fair bit of pit stop time as well. They won the last race in the championship camp, so they've got 15 seconds. So young Jackson Evans is going to have to work pretty hard this afternoon.
Well, I just wanted to build on what Rusty was saying before, and there's a few people on 7 Sport that might be new to motor racing this format. To build on that, Rusty, you really, if you're one of the really fast AM drivers, you're worth your weight in gold. It's almost like an Ambrose golf tournament where you always want one of those bandits that's very, very good in your team, because you need it with the Pro-Am format. So the faster you are as an AM, the more sought after you are in global motorsport.
Do you have a driver ranking?
Me personally,
you're bronze,
copper.
Come on, I said, let's stick to the actual script here, guys, shall we? Although I've got my entry in for Easter next year.
I like it.
You told me I'm banned, though. Apparently rotors are no good for Richard Craill.
Meantime, the numbers keep lighting up here. So we had Liam Talbot go fastest last time by. Stokel takes it back with a 2:06.69, so they're trading really good lap times at the top. Only 0.6 separates the pair now, with Schumacher sitting in an excellent 3rd.
And you look at that gap, though, I think Paul Stokel pushing Liam Talbot will be helping their case with that pit stop that's coming up. So Schumacher's now back. What's that? The gap, 6.8 seconds between himself and Talbot. So Talbot actually being given a favour by Paul Stokel pushing him along.
I think Will Brown's in a really good position here, though, when he jumps aboard the car 87, because they don't have any pit stop time. They didn't have a particularly good run last time out at the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit, so no pit stop penalty time for the Brad Schumacher car. So if they can stay within 10 seconds of Liam Talbot, they're going to jump them in the pit stop. They will come out in front, and they have to beat car number 1 today to keep the championship alive. So far, so good. Brad Schumacher's doing a great job. What he would love is for Paul Stokel to properly engage in battle with Liam Talbot and slow him down. But there's not many team orders evolving down in that part of the world.
It's only 3/10 between 1st and 2nd right now. Stokel's within striking distance. That's not on screen at the moment. This is still the battle over 5th place out on track. So Elliot Shute at the wheel of that Arise Racing Ferrari.
Tim Miles was giving him the hurry up a couple of corners ago, but he's fallen a little bit back here into the clutches of Pete Hackett, who's cleared Mark Rosser. So he's doing a good job for Triple Eight and Mercedes-AMG Customer Racing in 7th place. Been about 4 years, I think, since Peter Hackett's been here at the mountain. And I think he felt a little... He's such a professional the way he goes about things, right? I think he felt a little rusty, if you'll pardon the pun there, earlier in the weekend. But clearly, more miles coming on strong here now.
Bumped into the Triple Eight race engineering crew at Reckless Brewing last night. They've done a little deal, of course, to get some product and some food and drink this weekend. Ever industrious. Yes, many congratulations to our own Greg Rusty, won the meat tray last night.
Did that even happen? I don't know.
It was outstanding.
Yeah, notice he didn't actually want to share it with us at a barbecue tonight, but that's his Scottish origins there, as Liam Talbot, Paul Stokel, Brad Schumacher are your top three with 30 minutes remaining.
So the pit stop window is now open for the AM drivers, and Sergio Perez rolls into pit lane. And this is the first of the mandatory pit stops. Sergio usually races with his good mate Marcel Zalua. They have elected to go solo in today's race. Marcel is overseas on some business commitments, so Sergio running on his own. He's the AM class leader. He pits. Theo Kanduris pits. He'll hand over to his teammate James Kanduris. Stokel got to the back of Liam Talbot last lap, but the Ferrari so fast down Conrod Straight this weekend. The Audi, when it gets to the back of it, there's not much room for it to be able to get by as we go back to the leaders. Mike Sheargold and Mark Sini also in the lane, and Ash Samadi. So all the AM drivers peeling off into the lane for their mandatory stops. And this is important. There's an AM class championship on the line. It is really high-stakes stuff between those cars. So Perez, the class leader there at the moment. The longest pit stop for the AM cars will be car 45, Mike Sheargold and Garth Walden, having won last time out. So they've got an extra 15 seconds. The brothers Kanduris have got an extra 10. And the 22 car of Ash Samadi has an extra 5 seconds on their stop. So Sergio Perez has no pit stop penalty time in this race. He's looking in really good shape. The two leaders continue on. Stokel, so good across the top of the mountain. That's been an Audi trait at Mount Panorama for as long as GT3 racing has been coming here. It's a car that produces a lot of downforce, a lot of mid-corner grip. They're great in high-speed corners. The Ferraris, everyone has been talking about how good they've been down Conrod Straight this weekend. So that third and final sector is where the Ferraris are so good at making their time. But in racing conditions, Cam, you can do the same lap time, but if you're fast down Conrod, you're not getting past the best overtaking spot, which is the chase.
And that was the point I was going to make about over the top. You can be as fast as you like. If you can't get past them down Conrod, you are not getting past them at all. And yeah, the battle is on for our leaders, Liam Talbot and Paul Stokel. Paul Stokel with the fastest lap of the race that last time around at 2:06.3. And he's now having a look. This is for the race lead. And this will be helping Schumacher. The gap was out to 8 seconds.
And the other thing they're going to get, Cam, is they're going to get the cars that have just come out of pit lane. So the AM class cars have pitted and they're getting traffic. So the leaders now are looking to put a lap down the back end of the AM class field, and they're getting to them at the worst possible spot you can get to lap cars, which is all of the top of Mount Panorama. And this is going to slow them right down.
And it's going to help Schumacher. He's going to be raging right up onto the back of them. Stokel's having a look. You can't, can you? Not over the top.
Well, Shane Van Gisbergen tried to pass Bernd Schneider there once. It's doable. It's terrifying, but it's doable.
TCR's Jordan Cox came to the fore for this part of the track as well. Back in improved production many years ago. I think he was known as Internet Sensation Jordan Cox for at least a year.
They got past Ben Schutz there as Stokel looks down the inside at the elbow. He really needs to get this done before they get down to Conrod Straight. Now Mark Sini is the next one they need to work their way past.
I think he's lost nearly 3 seconds, 2.5 seconds to Brad Schumacher. That was very costly for Liam Talbot.
This is massive, but that guy on screen, bottom right corner, Will Brown, he'll take over from Brad Schumacher, but has the shortest pit stop time of anyone at the front of this field. It puts him in a really, really good position. And now they take a deep breath, having negotiated the traffic. And the Pro-Am pit window is open, so they can pit now. And did I see Brad Schumacher peeling off into the lane in the Shaw & Partners Audi? They're going to go first, I think, down at Melbourne Performance Centre and Audi Customer Sport Racing. Schumacher in the lane. He's coming to Will Brown. So there's going to be a lap of undercut as well for Will Brown versus these two who are dicing for the race lead, still waiting to put their pros in the car.
So the team would have looked at the traffic out on track, and they don't want to have any chances. Put Will Brown behind the wheel, get him out on track, and track position becomes key from there. So Schumacher, Shute, Miles, Rosser and Grove all in the pit lane, switching drivers.
This is a tactical success for Audi Sport Customer Racing Australia was the word I was looking for. Shute in, Miles in, Rosser in to hand over to Alex Peroni, Stephen to hand over to his son Brenton, Paul Lucidi to Jaden Ojeda. So they all got in. I wonder if there was a bit of hesitation from car number 1 and car number 2 that maybe the window wasn't quite there for them to get in. So if you pit before the pit stop window opens, no bueno, you're done. Massive penalties.
So we'll hit at the end of this one. So they make their way back over the top. They're about to head down Conrod before they hand over.
They're still flying. So you maximise your in-laps, and Stokell purple first and second, and Liam Talbot personal best 1 and 2. So this battle is going to continue. But car number 1 has a longer pit stop time than the car that Paul Stokell's driving, that Rene Gracie will take over. But Will Brown, with some undercut here, could end up leading this race without having to pass the Audi. They should pit this time by. You've only got 5 minutes to complete your mandatory pit stop, and it's a long old lap at Mount Panorama, and in comes car number 1, and the Audi team are going to roll the dice here with Paul Stokell. Yeah. They're going to go for overcut, keep him out as long as they possibly can, and just use the clean air, let the Audi loose, and then pit right at the end of the window. They'll be pushing it pretty fine, but he should get in before the 35-minute mark of the race.
Let's see what he can do in this thing as well. He gets through, and it's clear. We'll have clear track in front of him. So Talbot about to hand over to Chaz Mostert. You can see on the bottom of the screen. And Paul Stokell, who will hand over to Rene Gracie, has clear track. He's got the fastest lap to date. And I think he's going to set it again into the 205s. That last lap around was Paul Stokell. And he was just able to clear the traffic, which is going to give him a good run up over the top. Let's see the first sector split in just a second. There's Hackett, who continued around as well. 6 second on track. Oh, no.
Stephen Coe off at high speed at the chase, but he'll be okay. Will Brown, on his out lap, has set the fastest middle sector of the entire car race. Now, let's just have a look at this. Entry to the kink. Oh, wowee, at high speed. It's absolutely pin flat through there in a GT3 car. 275 k's an hour. It spun, kept it off the inside fence. Bit of launching over the curb.
Not that you'd wish that on anyone, but that seems to have actually been better, if there's such a choice of words, than others that we've seen like this before. That is frightening. Big speed there. Let's go. I think I can recall that happening to kind of Tim Miles in the Mustang in the 6 hour, wasn't it, at that part of the track? But, I mean, this is faster in the Ferrari for Coe there. That might have damaged the underside of the car there, the way it's launched across the curbing. But fortunate to an extent. Wow, that will have got the heart rate going.
So this is the Arise Racing Ferrari. We're just waiting on to see how this is all played out. Stokell is going very, very quickly, and he will pit this lap. He has to pit this lap, otherwise they're going to miss their pit stop window. So he's not far away from coming in. In fact, he's in now. So the race leader pits, and Peter Hackett's going to have to bail into the lane as well, this time by in the 888 race engineering car. So this is the race leader, but there's a whole bunch of cars going really quickly at the moment that are about 90 seconds on the road behind this car. Stokell out, Rene Gracie to jump in.
How's the pressure that's going to be on Rene Gracie when she rolls out on track as well? As you heard before, it's nearly been a decade since she was last here racing in anger at Mount Panorama. And now she's probably going to lead this race when she comes out of the pit lane with a hard-charging Will Brown coming up behind her.
Brendan Leach is lighting up the timing board too. Was quickest across the top of the mountain. Has just gone fastest in the first sector. So the benchmark number in this race so far is a 2:05.903 by Paul Stokell. Are we about to see that eclipsed? Will Brown lighting up the board now too. Personal best in the first sector. The best we've seen across the top of the mountain. Will Brown is hustling here. He is really going for it.
Chaz Mostert's going to be no slouch either. In position 4, he's on screen at the moment. Chasing after Will Brown, and Leach continues on. Purple after purple in 5th place on track at the moment.
So just to confirm, Will Brown in front of Chaz Mostert. So that is a change of position for what will eventually be the net race lead. So Renee Gracie taking over car 181. But let's see if that undercut has paid out. Gracie's just left pit lane now. So Brown across the line, Mostert across the line. They're going to see that car, which will still be the leader, but by an ever-decreasing margin. And Renee Gracie's now got 7.3 seconds to Will Brown, who is flying, and Chaz Mostert, who is flying, and Brendan Leach, who's flying more than everybody else, and the first driver in this race into the 204s now with a 4.6 last time by. So Leach is the quickest of them all, and he's the fourth car on the road.
And just a shout out, Alex Peroni up inside the top 5 as well. Declan Fraser comes out. He's dropped back down to, when it shakes out, about 8th at the moment in the 888 entry.
That's actually a bit of a loss for those guys, given that Peter Hackett was up battling with the Dale ITM car of Leach and Miles there before, so Fraser will have to push hard. They're back in 8th at the moment.
James.
Lads, down here with Brad Schumacher for the Shaw & Partners Audi entry. Brad, some redemption from Sydney Motorsport Park to here. You were flying.
Yeah, obviously we want to put Sydney Motorsport Park behind us, and of course it's imperative for us here to try and win 2 races this weekend. If there's any chance for us to look at taking out the championship over Ferrari, and so yeah, nice to hand the car over to Will there. Hopefully he should be able to hold off Chaz Mostert. It's going to be a thrilling race.
Well, he left the lane with 7.3 seconds to Renee Gracie, so he is pretty rapid around this circuit. We know is Will Brown. Are you feeling confident that this could probably get done here for you today?
Yeah, I got all the confidence in Will, obviously. Look, actually, the car didn't feel too great in the race today. This morning was completely hooked up in qualifying, and then the rear was a little bit slippery, but I think it's just that we potentially had a little bit low pressure in the tyre. I think Will, as obviously it's a very hot day, track temps are up, I think Will will push that up, and the car will come too. So, yeah, I think Renee's going to probably find a couple of heated bulls coming up really, really soon, but yeah, she's an awesome driver. She'll know exactly what to do in that situation, and yeah, hopefully Will can just hold Chazzy off and we can take a win here.
Nail-biting stuff. Thank you, mate.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
Thanks, James, with Brad Schumacher, and their car is about to take the race lead. So Will Brown, hot tyres, driver switched on. Renee's just jumped into the sister Audi R8. She'll slightly cover the line, but they're in slightly different races today, you feel, and Will Brown will go through and take the net race lead. So that is the lead for Will Brown. Has to win this race to keep the championship alive. And then it's up to where Chaz Mostert finishes.
And in the background, I think we could see Brendan Leach too. He's just done a 2:04.04. We're nearly into the threes, boys.
In race pace.
Yeah, unreal.
Fantastic. With 18 minutes remaining. Renee Gracie, I love the fact she covered off slightly there as well. She moved across, didn't make it easy for Will Brown, and great, that was a great sign.
But I wonder, okay, I was just about to theorise, do you make it harder for the Ferrari because they are teammates at Audi, but no, Chaz Mostert goes through.
I don't think he gave her a choice there.
No, he was going through one way or another. So Mostert second will go back in his pursuit of Will Brown. If Mostert finishes second in this race, they will win the championship today, even with the 87 car winning. Having said that, there's still a lot of race to play out, and a very, very fast Brendan Leach hunting them down. So if Brendan Leach can get to the back of Mostert and pass him for second, that might change the championship calculations and take it to Sunday.
Magic day here at Mount Panorama. Look at the skies in the background there. Headed for highs of 26 degrees. On track right now, the latest track temperature numbers, we're getting 38. So it's Brown from Mostert. Gracie, you can see coming into the chase there now, just looking in the background for the silver and black machine of Brendan Leach.
It said 6.5 seconds, but he's just taking chunks of time out per sector. So still 6.5 at the last one, but we'll keep an eye out on that gap between third and fourth, Renee Gracie and Brendan Leach.
Jaden Ojeda was strong in endurance trim last time out, down in 10th at the moment, but he too is starting to light up the timing monitor at the moment in that Merc, but just sort of on the back foot with the time we've got remaining in this race at the moment, but in a solid 10th. Brown from Mostert and Gracie, there we go.
This gives a good position of where everyone's at. So there's Gracie in third, Brendan Leach there in fourth place, and shout out to the car behind in fifth is Alex Peroni. the young Tasmanian, who's going along very speedily. In fact, quickest guy on the racetrack last time by in the ACM Finance.com car for Team BRM. They're 5th.
He's got a good story, actually, doesn't he? So someone who pursued the international dream, a winner rather in single-seaters at Monza, had a difficult crash and has come back and reassessed kind of career options. Nice to see him having a good run in this class and a good run today here at the Mountain.
Chatting to Shane Wilmot and Marcus Koch, the engineer and team chief down at Team BRM last night about their program, and they're really happy with how things are going. That car's dialed in. Mark Rosser driving as well as he ever has from an AM capacity, and Alex Peroni, for his first visit here in a GT car, has been switched on from lap 1. They are a really, really good proposition and currently sitting in 5th place with potentially more positions to come.
It was the FIA Formula 3 Championship that he was running in, and that translates quite nicely, the wings and slicks formula, across to a GT car. It probably translates better than what you'd see in a touring car style championship around the world. So no real shock to plenty of people that followed Alex's career that he'd be good in a GT car.
Chaz putting some good numbers together. He's now got the best that we have seen across the top of Mount Panorama in that Ferrari. Are we about to see a new fastest lap? Meantime, Will Brown's putting personal bests together. Brendan Leach has some solid numbers. We might be in for a 3 here as he comes down to the final corner using all of the track and then some, and heads for the line. We've got a drama there for the Superbarn.
It's Black Wolf entry, I think, is it?
Is it Black Wolf? No, it might be the Conduras brothers, I think, is it?
So that's big news, actually, because that's the car second in the AM class. So that will actually effectively determine the title in AM to the way of Garth Walden and Mike Sheargold. They were the closest rivals. They were one full race behind. They were the only other car that could win the championship, James and Theo. And with that car now seemingly out of the race, that means Garth Walden and Mike Sheargold will wrap up the AM class today.
In the meantime, Leach through on Gracie, so he now holds 3rd place out on track. Alex Peroni now hunting her down. Her last lap around a 2:10.5. She will be dropping rapidly throughout now. You have to remember with Renee Gracie, she hasn't been here for nearly a decade, so her times are a long way off the driver she's racing against.
I like how you brought up the title scenario for Walden and Sheargold. That's actually a nice story. Garth runs a very good race operation, has many cars here this weekend, not just in GT competition. And then separately, Mike has had, we talked about it at the Queensland Raceway round last year, he's had some health battles, has had a kind of moment of perspective, maybe downscaled a little bit in relation to business, but has come on. He's arguably in the best form that we've seen him as a racing driver. That's a nice story to see those guys do that.
Driving extremely well. There's a little bit of added impetus there because GWR and Tigani Autosport are in a really close battle for the teams championship as well, and they both want to win that very, very badly. And that DNF for the Conduras, which is run by Tigani, will be a help for GWR Australia. And just to touch on that outright championship scenario, as we watch these two Mercedes AMGs going at it, with Jaden Ojeda throwing everything at Mount Panorama and the back of Declan Fraser's 888 race engineering car. With that penalty for Chaz Mostert, so he lost that point for pole position. So if he finishes second, the margin, and Will Brown wins, the margin is 24 points, not the 25 he needs to wrap it up. So right now, title goes down to Sunday.
I think this is the last of our national/Shannon Speed series. I hope you'll just give me a little bit. This is a note that we got in from a voice that was a big part of this championship over the decades it's been there. Darren Smith shot me a message just to remind me. Darren Smith, thank you for this. Paul Stokell mentored and coached Liam Talbot to his first championship in Radical Cup Australia. Thank you, Darren. He was a big part of this championship throughout. So I just thought I'd give him a bit of a mention as well.
It's a very good point.
And with us for the last round of the coverage too, which was great when we were covering Sydney Motorsport Park. So nice to hear from Darren. We go back, and that gives you a real-time look at the 2.7 second gap between Brown and Mostert. Leach is 3rd.
Oh. Yeah, that says it all, doesn't it? They are driving these things so hard.
The commitment of Chaz Mostert. He wants to get it done. Doesn't want to leave it for tomorrow.
Let's get an update from the lane, Chris.
Rusty, just a quick one for you, keeping an eye across those last pit stops there. Will Brown, actually a little stall on departure now. Just judging by my visual on that, I would say 2 second maximum it would have cost him, between 1 to 2 seconds. So could that come back to bite him in these closing stages?
3.4 is the margin. Thanks, Chris. And he is doing a good job here. He's continuing It's been purple in the first two sectors for Will Brown. Here he is on screen, and we go inside the garage for Tagani Motorsport here, and there's a bit more to that story. We'll get the crew, our reporters onto that.
Here and possibly some fire in that car, so they're going to get it out of the garage into the lane. James?
Yeah, Kralsey, just in a massive cloud of smoke here down at Tagani Motorsport. I was just talking to some of the team here for the Superbarn entry for the Conduruses. They said for the last couple of laps it just started to progressively lose power. They weren't exactly sure what was going wrong with it. It started to go into limp mode, so it was brought in, and as you just saw on your screens there, a massive amount of smoke just poured out of that car. So driver out, car outside, garage full of smoke. I'll try and find out a little bit more about what caused that in a little bit.
Thank you, James. Meantime, Will Brown a 2:03.77.725. New fastest lap of the race. We are into the threes.
Yeah. So we'll keep an eye on that. But Kralsey going into limp mode with the smoke coming out the exhaust on the side. That'll be a overheating issue in that car, and that's a protection mode on the engine where the ECU shuts it down so you don't give it that much more, or no more beans. I've had that happen a couple of times, Kralsey, hence I know what limp mode was. But when I saw that smoke coming out the side of the car, thank you for that, out of the exhaust, you went, yeah, that'll be an overheating issue. Good to see the fire truck making its way down to that part of the pits, but interesting to see. I'm not sure which Condurus it was.
I think it's James, wasn't it?
James.
He was out of there pretty quick, wasn't he?
Back in the garage, he was out. Pulled the chute and off he went.
I spoke to James after qualifying, and he did the first part of qualifying. He said, I had understeer everywhere and the car wouldn't behave, and then handed it over to my brother for the second part of the qualifying session, and he said, it was amazing. The car had no understeer. It was as fast as ever. So I think Theo got the best of the qualifying conditions. The Canberra brothers put on a great show. They have been supporters of GT racing for as long as there's been a Shannon Speed Series / Shannon's Nationals, and even beyond that. So they've had a really good year. They're second in the championship, and they should finish there as well, but that was their shot at winning, disappearing quite literally up in smoke. And just to confirm, that championship will go to the way of Garth Walden and Mike Sheargold.
A 111 Racing entry in Penrite colours for Darren Curry and Grant Donaldson. That looks cool, that machine, doesn't it?
Beautiful livery.
Very, very nice.
That, my understanding is that's an ex-Craft Bamboo racing car that might have raced here in Bathurst 12 hour back in the day. That they've purchased, the GT Sleuth. That's not a thing.
Isn't it? You just started it.
He's registered the name, no doubt.
Sorry, Noons. So, yeah, Darren Curry and Grant Donaldson sharing the driving duties there. They've got a lot of experience in GT-style machinery here at Mount Panorama Boys in Mark Cars Australia products in Bathurst 12 hour competition. So it's cool to see them step up into a full-blown GT3 car. As Will Brown leads this race by now 3.9 seconds over Chaz Mostert. Brendan Leach in third. That margin is coming down slightly. In fact, it was 9/10 last lap, Mostert to Leach. So Brendan is going quickly. Peroni fourth. Renee Gracie's still fifth, but has got Brenton Grove right behind her in the Grove Racing Mercedes AMG. Then Jackson Evans is seventh in the second Rise Racing Ferrari. Jaden Ojeda is eighth. He's got past Declan Fraser. And then Sergio Perez rounds out the top 10 and leads the AM class. Rusty, this car in 12th outright with Alex Fontana behind the wheel. Here's the Porsche from Car Collection Motorsport, a new team this weekend.
Really cool car that he shares with Hash Patel. Nice to have them with us here. We talked about it while we were in that little kind of holding pattern at the top with the timing reset. German-based GT squad. A team that they're making their debut here on Aussie soil this weekend in the Porsche, as you rightly say. We're competing at the Pirelli Indianapolis 8 hour last month, and they're eyeing up an entry at some point in the Maguire's Bathurst 12 hour. Really cool to have them here as a part of things this weekend in Fanatec GT World Challenge Australia.
Alex is a hugely experienced guy in GT racing as well. Vastly credentialed dude in these cars, so good guy to get up to speed. It never ceases to amaze me, whether it's Fanatec GT World Challenge Oz or the 12 hour, how quickly the internationals nail a lap at this place.
Unreal.
And Brendan Leach was that this weekend too. He came in 2 laps, bang, into the 5s and 4s, and then ultimately into the 1s in qualifying. They're their ability to switch onto a racetrack in a car is just phenomenal.
Just while you were saying, you were talking there, Ben Schutz just jumped over Mark Sini. That's for third in the AM class. So it was just a change for position on track while you were talking. Look at Will Brown pushing on. He doesn't want to leave anything to chance. 5.2 seconds the gap between Will Brown and Chaz Mostert. And with 6 minutes remaining on the countdown clock at least, it would suggest that Will Brown is going to live to fight another day in the championship.
Brenton Grove has got past not only Renee Gracie, but also Jackson Evans. So 5th place, Evans behind in 6th, and Renee Gracie 7th, and just crossed the line. So that's been a really good drive for Brenton. Took over from Dad Stephen, second half of this race. As we continue to watch Mostert in the Ferrari. The gap back to Brendan Leach now sub 5 seconds for the first time this race. 207.1 last time around for Mostert, plays a 4-1 for Brendan Leach, and this traffic as well across the top is gonna hurt Chaz. Ash Samadi in the Audi does the right thing and just runs it a little bit wider at McPhillamy Park, tipping in these cars at 230 kilometres an hour at the top of 5th gear. Full aero load a GT3 car produces. And the margin of the thing getting through McPhillamy and then snapping, potentially you firing you into, or indeed, if you're Dean Canto, on top of the wall there at Brock Skyline on driver's right, is so narrow in one of these cars, especially as the temperatures get hotter. These cars in hot conditions at this place run on a real knife's edge, and the margin between having a crash and not gets smaller and smaller and smaller as the day goes on.
Drive-through penalty for car 888.
Breach of the pit stop.
Yeah, breach on pit stop we just heard there for a race director. And on the other one I was just going to mention, though, Sergio Perez has got a 23.2 second gap. He's banging in 209s lap after lap, and Garth Walden's best at 207.1 last lap around is not with it well. His best is at 207.8, but oh mate, he's got this, Sergio Perez.
I'm going to confirm what the infringement for 888 was.
This says pit stop infringement at the moment. We'll get some more detail on that.
I suspect they were right at the very end of the window of that 35 minutes where the stops have to be completed. So we saw Stokel get in time, but there was about 20 seconds to go when Paul Stokel pitted, and these guys were more than 20 seconds behind Paul. So yeah, and we're just having confirmation from MA Race Control that they commenced the CPS too late. So they were too late into pit lane. And as a result, they'll have to chuck 32 seconds plus in and outs away for a drive-through penalty.
That's not the kind of thing you see from 888, is it? So, yeah.
Look, they rolled the dice.
Yes.
I don't mind that, but yeah, unfortunately it's bitten them today.
Cam updated the classes before too. Little shout out to Valentino Astudi leading the trophy class, currently 14th outright in this race. A nice job in the 38, battling with Mark Sini there. I think the pair of them have just traded places, in fact. So, but nice job, currently leading the trophy class.
His little brother, in fact, both his brothers, Antonio is here, not racing in Monochrome GT4 this weekend, but spectating. You might hear from him in broadcast at some point this weekend. And little brother here as well. But little brother wants to be a commentator.
Oh.
So, and he's very good. So we're going to keep the door locked.
No, we're locked. Don't worry.
Our job.
We're very busy. He's
an Astudi, so he's extremely well credentialed.
Yeah.
He knows the sport. He's got the gift of the gab.
Yep.
Great stuff.
And I keep moving further and further towards the door from you, Krause, as well. Should I read anything into that? 2 minutes 40 remaining in this race. And Will Brown controls it out in front, 4.7 seconds a gap. Not going to be enough for Chaz Mostert to be able to hunt him down. And this is good news because let's go through those championship permutations. Chaz Mostert starts back of grid tomorrow.
Yes, he does. And as they run, points situation going in tomorrow, 25 points for a race win. Right now, as they run, it'll be 159 points, car number 1, 135 points, car number 87. By my maths, that's 24 points the difference. There's still hope. And the championship battle will go down to Sunday.
As the famous saying is, so you're telling me there's a chance.
Well, and then with car number 1 starting last in tomorrow's race, we've seen how competitive it is. Plus, they'll have some pit stop time penalty as well. It'll be down to Brad Schumacher versus Liam Talbot at the end of tomorrow's race. So the pros start tomorrow, and then the AM drivers will finish. Another twist in the tail of a Fanatec GT World Challenge Australia series this year that has just entertained and compelled since race number 1 at the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit. You just have back in March.
So careful passing everybody coming through the field. Anything could occur.
The risk factor is enormous. But even if car number 1 DNF's in that race tomorrow, Will Brown and Brad Schumacher have to win.
Yep.
And remember, no one has won both races in a weekend so far this year.
There's always a first, though. There is always a first.
So 1 minute. Saying there's a chance.
There's always a chance in GT racing. 1 minute remaining and 1 lap. Will Brown, Chaz Mostert, Brendan Leach, your Pro-Am leaders. In Am class, Sergio Perez. He holds on from Garth Walden. That gap is far too big. 16.5 to next. 18 seconds between them. Only a couple of minutes remaining in this race, so you'd say, unless something happens, Sergio Perez has it in the Am class from Garth Walden. Ben Schutz is still holding down that 3rd place in the Am class. And Astudi, you mentioned before, is leading in the trophy class. One of 2 entries with Co in pit lane.
A couple of ripper drives. So we've touched on Alex Peroni, 4th place with Mark Rosser, the ACM Finance car from Team BRM. But Brenton Grove is still setting personal best sector times. 5th place at the moment. He has been flying in the second half of this race. Up to 5th. Jackson Evans in the second Arise Racing Ferrari down to 6th place, and has actually got Jaden Ojeda holding him in at the moment to the tune of 1 second per lap. And there's 2.7 seconds behind them and 1, possibly 2 laps to go. Did Will Brown get to the line before the clock ticked to 0?
Good question. I was looking at my notes at the time. So Will Brown, Chaz Mostert, we're at the end of this race.
He'll hope so. He won't want any more racing laps. He wants this to end right now. Melbourne Performance Centre. Audi have won the last 6 straight GT World Challenge Australia Championships in this part of the world. So this plus 1 more lap. He didn't quite get there in time. It's the only thing Will Brown's been slow at today.
Oh, a little bit too quick.
Well, in fact, he was too quick.
He was too quick. Probably could have backed it off just a bit on that last corner to give himself 1 more lap. But Will Brown up over the top. He's got 1 more lap around the mountain for race 1 of the Fanatec GT World Challenge Australia.
And remember what he is trying to achieve. So yes, Brad Schumacher looking to win a national championship. That would be a huge accomplishment for Brad, who's been so good in these cars for a long time now. But Will Brown, he leads the Supercars Championship with 1 round to go. He's trying to win the GT World Challenge Australia Championship. Very few drivers in the history of Australian motorsport have ever won 2 national championships in the same year. Marcus Kanovic was the last to do it. He won the V8 Utes and Commodore Cup in the same season.
Do you remember when Will Brown was a young up-and-coming driver? What was he running in at the time?
Formula Ford and F4, wasn't he?
He was, and he was in the hunt for championships across
second in one and 1 in the other one.
There we go, Krause. I love working with you. You've been there. You were there when I was there.
We were there. So
he burst onto the scene, didn't he? Remember that in F4 in particular? Just Will Brown, quick from the first time we saw him.
We only lost Formula Ford because he missed a round, didn't he, that season? I think that clashed with F4.
Yep.
So he had to pick the F4 championship. It proved to be
Are we reminiscing
the right
again?
But
we're allowed to this weekend.
It's context for what Will's done in his remarkable career that's built to what's been a banner season for the young bloke from Toowoomba who, during the week, jumps back into the plane, flies home, and then goes and sells cars at Cars Galore in Toowoomba.
We had a good chat with him. That was at Phillip Island. We were having a good chat to him about the trucking business and the car business, because he's also got a logistics business as well.
Was that at the bar? I think it might have been.
Oh, well,
regardless.
It's always at the bar.
That's where you get your best work done. Out of the cutting goes the Audi R8 LMS. What a fighting performance this has been. They used the strategy to perfection. It's rare you get an undercut situation in World Challenge Australia racing, just with the way that it all plays out. A bit of traffic's cost him some lap time, and Chaz has pulled some time out, but Will know that. They've got some great engineering brains at MPC this weekend. Tom Moore, hugely experienced in Supercars competition, is on the headsets to the guys in car 87. Lee Stamations down there, Lee Burley, of course, and Troy Russell. Trent Levi is in his swan song season. He's hanging up the toolkit this weekend. Is Trent down at MPC? He's been a staple. This is a great race team, and they have won a lot in Australian GT competition over the years. and they are going to have a fighting chance at winning another championship. To the chase for the final time. They're going to beat the Ferraris. The Audi fight will continue, and after a monstrous opening start, an opening stint for Brad Schumacher, Will Brown will bring this car home. To Murray's they come. The championship will go down to Sunday. A fighting chance is all Will Brown needs, and a fighting chance is what Will Brown and Brad Schumacher will have. They take the fight to the final day of the year in Fanatec GT World Challenge, and Audi beats Ferrari on the mountain.
And it was so close to an incident for Chaz Mostert on the last corner.
I thought he was just going to send it there, but discretion the better part of valour. Didn't need to lose any more points.
Ben Schutt's very nearly wore a Ferrari then.
So you're saying there's a chance. 24 championship points will be the margin between car 87 and the leader, car number 1. You get 25 for winning. And no team this year has won both races in a World Challenge Australia weekend. This place creates history so many times. I wonder what it does for us tomorrow. Today, it was Brown and Schumacher, Audi, Ferrari, and then a great drive from Tim Miles and Brendan Leach to secure their 4th podium finish of the year. Peroni and Rosser, wasn't that a really under-the-radar performance? And then Brenton and Stephen Grove in the top 5 for Mercedes AMG.
Looking further back to Evans and Schutt, then we go over the page to Walden, who finished 2nd in the AM class, Schutz, who finished 3rd in the AM class. Astudi was the winner of the trophy class, Sini, Samadi, Curry Donaldson, and then the Conduruses and Co. did not finish that race.
So much to like about Fanatec GT World Challenge Australia. Exciting times for the category next year. Will Brown gets a little victory lap. I don't get that in the 1000, but you get it in a GT car on the mountain. Well, let's have a look at the race highlights. Thanks to Supercheap Auto's Auto Trade, and it was a pretty busy start. A delayed start in the end after a little timing issue. Delayed the start of the race. It was suspended briefly. Cars were stopped on the racetrack and then restarted. And it was Liam Talbot and Paul Stokel. Gee, they put on a show at the start of that one.
Yeah, Paul Stokel pushed Liam Talbot all of the way around the circuit. And then there was that massive moment. I think it was Rosser who nearly threw it off the track. And that allowed a few of them through. As you saw Peter Hackett starting to threaten early on in the race. And then the battle was really on with Elliott Shute. The car he shared with Jackson Evans.
That ticks a few boxes for him. We're trying to wonder what all that smoke was. It was the 2 Audis running wide, and how was Stokel getting up the inside of Sini in his pursuit of that leading Ferrari. This was particularly wild for Stephen Coe. Through the kink at the chase. Just a glancing blow to the fence and then launches it over that curve, which has had so many big moments over the journey here at Mount Panorama, and then ultimately that car would fail to finish the race. Be cool to have the 458 GT3 back here, car that won the 12-hour a long time ago. Still one of the great sounding race cars ever made too. This was ultimately the pass for the lead with Will Brown behind. Got up the inside of Rene Gracie and took the race lead, and then Chaz Mostert did the job on the run into the metal grate. He was going through there, whether Rene liked it or not.
We talked about whether she would defend, but she was doing 2-minute 10s and everyone else was on sub-4s. As the Conduras brothers had that moment in the car, James hightailed it out of there as they got the car back into the pit lane. And ultimately, the race win went the way of Will Brown. This is that heart-in-the-mouth moment in the background for Chaz Mostert. But Will Brown got the job done and kept the championship alive for one more day.
3rd race win of the year for Will Brown and Brad Schumacher, the most of any combination in this year's championship. It's their 5th podium finish. And more importantly, it keeps them in the fight for the championship this year. Stubbsy?
Thank you very much. Local man, and he's got the smile on his dial, and fair enough too, Brad Schumacher. That is an important win.
Massively important for us. Obviously, it's always great to win at home, but to keep the championship alive here into tomorrow's final race, that's exactly what we needed to do today. Honestly, I got to tip my hat here to Will. So fast in the end of that stint in these conditions. He did an amazing job.
And what do you say to the team to turn the car around? It was not in great shape when we walked away from Sydney Motorsport Park, but it has turned up quick.
Unfortunately, yeah, the car was a mess after Sydney, and the guys at Audi Sport Team MPC have done an amazing job to the car. It was as good as it's felt all year, to be totally honest, and so just can't thank those guys enough for a short turnaround, for the repair on that shunt, and to get a win today. It's so great. I'd want to celebrate tonight, but we can't. Obviously, we've got to race tomorrow.
Will, great drive. Well done. He does all right, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does great. The Shore & Partners Audi R8 was pretty quick then. He handed it over to me with the lead just from the bit of pit lane time lost from those guys from the last round, but the car was so fast. I thought my good mate Chaz was going to come hunting and have a crack at me, but I was going to make it as wide as possible. But I think they chose to, sit where they were. But overall, an awesome day. Car was super fast. I'm really looking forward to tomorrow. These are a pleasure of a car to drive around here.
Yeah, well said. All right, so those guys will enjoy the victory. Likewise, Valentino Astudi, mate, congratulations for your class. That's a great result.
Thank you, yeah. The team's done such an amazing job. We had a problem yesterday and we got very minimal laps, so amazing to come out here today, and really push onto these AM cars and get a really good run around Bathurst. So fun.
And Liam, alongside you, awesome, well done.
Thanks very much. A really good experience and first time here at the mountain, and it was just great to get the car back on track and get a result. So thanks to everyone.
Nice work. Sergio Perez just finally down here. Sergio, congratulations to you, class winner. Gee, you had some pace.
Thank you. Yeah, we made it in qualifying this morning, put us in a good position. We kind of fell back from the front three, but had a gap. So, to be honest, had a bit of a lonely race, but it was good. Bathurst, just consistent laps, and happy to take home the win.
Congrats, enjoy it.
Thank you.
All right, don't go away because we have plenty more action to come, including TCR. That's up next. It is the title deciding weekend at Mount Panorama for Super Cheap Auto, TCR Australia. That's next on 7.
All right, boys, welcome to Mount Panorama, final round of the championship. It's been an incredible season and you guys are right in the mix. Brad, home turf, I mean, what does it mean to be able to race here? You grew up at this place, you grew up in this town, doesn't get any more local for any racing car driver in Australia, I don't think. What's this experience like?
Yeah, obviously born and bred in Bathurst and live up here on the mountain. It's obviously special every time that I get to race here at Bathurst, and particularly in front of my home crowd. To win here at home is something that I always strive to do, although Bathurst is a difficult place to get results. Obviously, you're putting everything on the line here, so hopefully this weekend though we can make amends following on from our result at Sydney, and obviously come out on top here at Bathurst.
What's this year been like driving with this bloke?
Yeah, it's been great. Obviously, Will's just such a talented race car driver, and not only that, we've just gelled well as mates, so it just makes all of it really come together really well for sure. I've enjoyed this experience, and hopefully we can do it moving into the future.
Will, you've had a remarkable year. You're leading the Supercars Championship with a round to go. You're in with a shot at winning the National GT title. It's been a remarkable year for you.
Yeah, no, it's been a great year in Supercars and also in GT. Hopefully if we can punch Chaz Mostert off this weekend, we'll be going quite well, but we'll see what happens.
So, Brad, what would it mean to lift that Fanatec GT World Challenge Australia trophy at the end of the weekend?
Honestly, there's nothing more I want. I want to walk away as, I've won the trophy class in GT World Challenge Australia. I've won the AM class. I really want to take out the Pro-Am here with my mate Will. It'll be something I'll never forget.
Boys, good to chat. Go really well this weekend. Best wishes.
Cheers. Cheers, Krause.